It's the Black Real Estate Dialogue. Tune in. Tune in. Tune in. Tune in.
If you're someone who lives in an area where it's so expensive to buy real estate and you feel like it's impossible, then I have something for you. I just released a free guide that's going to give you the 8 steps you need to take to buy your first out-of-state property. I bought several properties out of state, living in California, investing in Ohio, and you could do the same. It's just a matter of having the right information. So click the link in the description of this episode to get your free guide today. So the next thing I want to talk about is like contractors. Like, how can someone vet contractors and know that they're doing the job they're supposed to be doing? Marion, you helped me tremendously with the nightmare I had last year, and you know we got through it. I think I owe you like dinner or money or something. But you know, it's cold out there, especially when you're an out-of-state investor, because you know once they know that, they feel like they could take advantage of you if you don't have boots on the ground or if you don't know, you know, how to make sure they're doing what they're supposed to do. So we'll have to hear each of your thoughts on contractors.
So you definitely with contractors, you want to make sure that you're seeing their work products, you're going by the homes they have done. You want to see the quality of the work. If you're looking for someone who is doing permitted work and licensed work, you can ask to see copies of their license. The one that I use, they actually have a website. So I can see in my area, they've done at least 20 homes in my neighborhood in the past several months. I can see the progress. I'm able to communicate with them. So there's a person on the team that is, you know, not everybody speaks English that's working on the home. So there's actually someone that I can speak with that is speaking English, that we can communicate on the same page. They're giving me updates on a regular basis. I actually give my contractors a contract, because if you're overdue, if you're late, then that comes out of your profit. You're not going to waste my time. So I had to learn that the hard way of dealing with contractors, that they respect your timeline, your budget, what you're trying to accomplish. I have some taste that is not exactly cheap. So when I have a contractor who bids a job and all of the things that I'm supposed to cover cost $1 a square foot, well, that's not going to work for me. You know, so you got to be really clear on how much are we talking per square foot? How fast is this all of your team? Are you outsourcing this work? How long is the permitting process? And a lot of that comes after you've been through it a rough way. And, you know, experience, you know, is priceless. So try to talk to people who have recently done projects and learn from their mistakes, because you don't want to go down the wrong path and work with someone who walks off the job. That's like the nightmare, is that you've paid them and they don't show up, and now you don't have the money and the work is incomplete. There are websites that you can go to where they'll complain, Better Business Bureau. You can check their license out, see if there's any complaints on them, because you don't want to work with someone who has a history of running off the job and stealing money. And you also want to be clear that they are responsible for their subcontractors. You know, I've heard nightmares from my clients that they've worked with contractors that don't pay their subs, and now the sub wants to put a mechanics lien on the house. So those are the type of things you want to avoid by having those hard conversations up front with the contractor. And more often, if you're able to communicate and have it in writing, that contract is your biggest weapon, especially if they're licensed. They don't want their license taken or at jeopardy. So make sure you're really clear on the terms and the breakdown of when they get paid, after they've done the work, after they've passed inspections from the city. You don't get all that money up front and then you don't show up. That's not how you negotiate these type of things, right? So those are some of the things that I've learned from doing deals through the years is set the expectation up front.
I hope y'all was taking notes on that. I saw a lot of pens out. I saw phones out. You know, that you don't want to get burned in that way. So definitely good. I see pens. I like it. What do you got, Marion?
I want to set, like, and Mark always says, like, I show the doom and gloom of everything. But like working with contractors is like kissing frogs, trying to find your prince. Like I've gone through 4 contractors. So if you find one the first time that you really like working with and works well, you might want to go buy a lottery ticket next. That, and then she mentioned like having a contract. I think a really big piece of the contract is a draw schedule. So you know when you're going to pay them, and the contractor knows when they can expect to get paid. And it really helps you set just kind of like parameters, right? You'll run into contractors where they'll go, and the good contractors aren't like this, but you'll run into some where they'll do some work and it's a week or two and they're like, hey, I got to pay my guys. Can I get some money? And you're like, no, you haven't completed X, Y, and Z that are in your draw schedule. And it helps you have those tough conversations. It's really hard to see these people working at your property and you not give them money, so to speak. But when you've already set the expectation that you all have to complete these items, and it may not be like paint the whole wall, it may just be like, hey, like sand the wall. All right, I'll give you X amount of dollars when the wall's sanded and the floor is demoed. That way, everyone knows when they can expect to get paid and when you have to make a payment. If you're doing like a rehab loan, they force you to do those things, so it kind of helps you. That was that piece. What else was I going to say about this? Oh, this is another fun thing, especially when you're working with new contractors. I always take whatever number they give me and like reduce it by 30% and then start my negotiations there. Especially when you're out of town, and if they know you live in California, they automatically think you're rich. And I kid you not, we did this with Sam's turnover that he mentioned, and I told him, take that number, do 30%, and then we lined out like what he was having done, and my estimate of what it should cost was 30% or right around 30% of that estimate that he received. And then you have that to negotiate when you have lines and you're not looking at a big number. You're able to say, okay, this line shouldn't cost that much. We can reduce this by X amount of dollars. And that's how you get your number down to what it really should be. Because if you don't know any better, they're not going to teach you. And you can't, you can expect them, but like they're not going to. So that's another thing that's, I think, really important with contractors. And then having expectations. You have the contract, you have the scope of work, you have all these things. But in my experience and an opinion, contractors usually aren't good communicators. And so they're getting the job done. They may do fabulous work, but they're not naturally inclined to keep an open line of communication and give you updates and give you what I feel like I always need to feel comfortable when I'm spending thousands of dollars. It's not necessarily something that they think about. So having that expectation and just tempering your expectations around that. And if you are able to find a contractor that's a good communicator, again, go buy a lottery ticket. I think those are the big things. And then once you find one, keep them. I think a lot of times people will ask someone like, oh, who does your work? And it's like, nah. I'm not telling you because I want them available when I have a project. So keep them happy too. And it's like a give and take. I personally, I have this contract, but I'm like, all right, we can wiggle once you have the relationship, because they'll wiggle with you a little bit. And if you're not so stringent in the process, I think it helps a long-term relationship if you plan to continue to do deals in that market.
What's up, y'all? Sam here from the Black Real Estate Dialogue podcast. Thank you so much for watching another episode. Definitely take a moment to subscribe. Make sure you like this video. Also, visit our website, blackrealestatedialogue.com, and follow on Instagram @Black Real Estate Dialogue. Talk to you soon.